When he says, let me handle the finances so you don't stress, I want you to pause, not panic, just pause. Because sometimes that sentence is love, and sometimes that sentence is a lock. Sometimes it means, I want to support you. And sometimes it means, I want you tired, grateful, uninformed, and depending on whatever version of the numbers I give you. That is a very different thing. Today, we're going to talk about narcissistic financial abuse in high earning women and the biggest truth that income does not automatically equal freedom. A woman can be financially controlled when she makes no money. A woman can be financially controlled when she makes some money. And a woman can absolutely be financially controlled when she makes excellent money. The income level changes the details. It does not erase the control, period. Because financial freedom is not just, do you earn? It is, do you have access? Do you have information? Do you have choices? Do you know the debt? Do you know the passwords? Can you spend without fear? Can you ask questions without being punished? Can you leave if you need to? This is the real measure. So yes, this episode is speaking directly to high earning women, but the truth underneath it is for every woman. You can have money coming in and still be trapped. You can have no income and still be trapped, and you can have a business and still be trapped. You can have a beautiful home, nice clothes, good job, and a polished life and still feel sick every time money comes up. Because financial abuse is not only about who makes the money. It is about who has access, who has clarity, who has choice, who has the passwords, who understands the debt, who knows where the money is going, who gets questioned for spending, who gets blamed when everything goes wrong, who carries the financial fear, who benefits from her curiosity, and who slowly becomes trapped by the very income she worked so hard to build. Today's episode is called The Generosity Tax, because some women are not just paying bills, they're paying for someone else's irresponsibility, their image, their comfort, ego, laziness, resentment, and even control. Of course, control. And the payment is not only money, it is peace, it is your energy, it's sleep, it is confidence, it's your future choices. It is the quiet knowing I can leave if I need to. That is expensive. And if this episode stings a little bit, just stay with me, okay? Not because you did something wrong, because something may finally be getting named here. The woman I'm talking to, this episode is for the woman who is generous. The woman who says, I'll just cover it. The woman who pays for the trip and repairs, the groceries, the gifts, the emergency, the missed payment, the family thing, the business expense, the therapy he barely attends, the course he never finishes, the things he swore would help him get back on track. It is for the woman who can earn money, but still feel strangely anxious about money. The woman who has a good income, but she's not calm enough. The woman who keeps thinking, where is it all going? The woman who is embarrassed because on paper, she could be fine. The woman who avoids looking too closely because she already feels tired. The woman who trusted him with the finances because she was overwhelmed. And honestly, part of her was relieved somebody else was finally taking something off of her plate. And then slowly she starts losing track. Not all at once, just a little bit at a time. And she stops checking the account. She stops asking questions because every question might be a fight. She stopped challenging him because he makes her feel controlling. She stopped trusting herself because he always had an explanation. She stopped buying things for herself without guilt, even though she was earning. And now she's still sitting in the wreckage thinking, how did I work this hard and still feel trapped? That is who I'm talking to. And I want to say this clearly. Income is not the same as freedom. A woman can fund the life and still not control the life. She can pay the mortgage and still not know the real numbers. She can run a business and still have no clean exit plan. She can have money moving through her hands and still feel terrified to ask where it went. That is why we cannot measure financial abuse by income alone. The better question is, does she have freedom? Does she have clarity? Does she have safe access? Does she have choice? Because if the answer is no, we need to pay attention. So what is the generosity tax? Well, the generosity tax is the hidden cost a woman pays with her kindness, her income, work ethic, and loyalty becomes resources for someone who takes without real responsibility. It is not always obvious. It doesn't always look like someone's stealing cash out of your wallet. Sometimes it sounds like, I'll pay you back. I just need help with this once. You make more than me anyways. Or why are you so obsessed with money? We are married. It is ours. Or don't you trust me? You worry too much. Let me handle it. I am doing this for us. Stop acting like I am some kind of criminal. And suddenly, a simple financial question turns into an emotional courtroom. Who are you? You are not just asking where the money went. Now you are defending your character. You're proving you are not selfish. You're proving you trust him. Now you're proving also that you're not greedy. You're proving you are not trying to control him. This is the trick. A controlling partner does not always stop the financial conversation by refusing to answer. Sometimes he stops it by making you feel ashamed for asking. That is how the fog thickens. Then let me handle it trap. Let's talk about that sentence. Let me handle the finances so you don't have to stress. I had that one. On the surface, that can sound very thoughtful, and it did for me, especially for a woman who's carrying so much. If you are working long hours, raising kids, caring for family, running a business, managing clients, keeping the house from falling apart, that sentence may sound like relief. And it did for me. Finally, one less thing, someone who's helping, somebody who is taking care of something. Maybe you even thought, well, thank God, I don't have to think about that anymore. But here is where you need to pay attention. Healthy help increases your peace and keeps your access intact. Control decreases your access and calls it support. That is the difference. And I learned that one the hard way, too. Healthy help says, here are the passwords. Here is the budget. Let's review this together. You should know where everything is. We both need access. Nothing is hidden. Ask me anything. Control says, you don't need to worry about that. I already told you, even if they didn't. You are making a big deal out of nothing. You are bad with money. Oh boy, I heard that dozens of times. You are too controlling. You are too emotional. You would not understand. I have it covered. Why are you checking up on me? Now, do you feel the difference in the two? One creates safety and the other creates dependence. Now, let's talk about the quiet restriction. Financial control doesn't always begin with, you are not allowed to spend money. That would be too obvious. It begins with quiet restriction. He may not forbid you from spending. He just makes spending emotionally expensive. You buy something small and he comments. You book a hair appointment and he acts annoyed. You invest in your business and he questions the return. You buy clothes for an event and he says, must be nice. You want a weekend away and suddenly money is tight. But somehow his spending is not questioned. His hobbies are reasonable. His vehicle is practical. His subscriptions are minor. His lunches are no big deal. His tools, gadgets, trips, drinks, upgrades, or business ideas, all investments. Your needs are indulgent. Your self-care is selfish. Your business growth is risky. Your joy, irresponsible. This is not budgeting. That is hierarchy. And guess who is at the bottom? You, me, even if you are earning more, it doesn't matter. The high earning shame. Let's get to that. Now let's talk about this shame, because this is where high earning women get very quiet. There is a particular humiliation in thinking, I should have known. I help other people. I'm running a business. I understand numbers. I am not helpless. How did I not see what was happening? And because of that shame, women hide. They don't tell their friends. Oh my. I know this. I hid everything. They don't tell their lawyer soon enough. They don't tell their accountant in full truth. They don't tell their therapist right away. They keep trying to clean it up privately because it feels embarrassing to admit that you can feel competent everywhere else in your life and still feel financially manipulated at home, right? But listen, financial abuse does not require your ignorance. It requires your trust. Just remember that. It requires access. It requires fatigue. It requires emotional pressure. It requires confusion. It requires someone willing to use your goodness against you. You did not have to be stupid. You had to be loyal. You had to be overworked. You had to be hopeful. You had to believe that this person beside you was operating in good faith. And when someone exploits good faith, the shame belongs to them, not you. And here is the piece people miss. People understand that if a woman has no income, she can be financially trapped. This is true, but people often miss the other side too. A woman can be the main earner and still be trapped. She can fund the life and still not control the life. She can pay the bills and still not have peace. She can bring in the money and still not know what is actually happening. She can have a successful business and still feel like she cannot leave. That is why income alone is not the test. Freedom is the test. The subtle financial parasite. Now, I know parasite is a strong word. Good. Sometimes we need strong words, don't we? Because some women keep calling it helping him out when the truth is closer to being drained. Yeah, a subtle financial parasite does not always look lazy. He may be charming, he may be intellectual, he may talk big, he may have big plans, he may have potential. Oh, the potential. He may always be almost there, almost launching, almost getting steady, almost paying you back, almost changing, almost contributing, almost becoming the man he promised he would be. But somehow, while he is almost doing his part, you are fully doing your part. You are fully paying. You are fully covering. You're fully worrying. You're fully planning. You're fully worked, fully absorbing in the consequences of it all. And when you get tired, he makes you feel cruel. That is the parasite pattern. Not because someone needs help. Healthy people need help sometimes. That is normal. The problem is repeated taking without ownership, repeated promises without repair, repeated access without accountability, repeated benefit without gratitude. repeated financial mess that somehow became your responsibility. That is not partnership. That is extraction. 5 ways the trap works. Let me break this down for you. There are 5 common moves in this trap. Number 1, he frames control as care. Mine did that. He said he is protecting you from stress. He says he is better with numbers. Heard that a million times. He says he knows how to handle it. He said, you have enough on your plate. At first, that may feel loving, but over time, you realize that you are not less stressed. You are less informed, right? Those are not the same 2 things. Number 2, he makes money conversations emotionally unsafe. You ask a simple question. What is the balance? Did that bill get paid? Why is the credit card so high? What happened with the transfer? And suddenly you're in a fight. He is offended. He is hurt. He's angry. He accuses you of not trusting him. He turns himself into the victim. Now the original question disappears. And now you're busy repairing the emotional mess that he created. That is not confusion. That is diversion. Number 3, he uses your income as permission to take. Because you earn more, he acts like your money is automatically available. But his money, time, and effort are somehow private. If you buy something for yourself, you're selfish. If he benefits from your work, that is what couples do. No. A partnership is not one person's labor funding the other person's entitlement. Number 4, he keeps you too tired to look closely. This is a sneaky one. You are exhausted, you're working, you're parenting, you're managing stress, you're trying to keep the peace, so the financial details become one more thing you just can't face. And he knows it. He may not need to hide everything perfectly. He only needs to make the truth annoying, confusing, or exhausting enough that you stop checking. That is how fog becomes a financial strategy. Number 5, he makes leaving feel impossible. Yes, this is where financial abuse becomes very dangerous. Happened to me too. Because even if you earn money, you may not feel free to go. Your accounts are tangled, debt is unclear, documents are missing. He controls the passwords. He knows the accountant. He handles the taxes. The business numbers are messy. You do not know what you owe. You worry he will ruin the credit. You worry he will drain the account. You worry he will punish you through the legal system. So you stay. Not because you don't want your freedom, because the door looks expensive, complicated, and risky. That is the point. So calculated to make sure that you never leave. Real life examples here. Let's make this real. Example 1. You're a high earner, right? He says, you are so much better at making money. I am better at managing it. You feel relieved because numbers drain you. Months later, you realize you don't even know what's in the savings account. When you ask, he sighs and says, I told you I had it handled. Now you feel like a nag, so you back off. Example 2. You want to invest in your business, a website, training, coaching, advertising, a new office. He says, are you sure that is smart right now? But somehow his purchases don't go through the same committee, do they? His wants are practical while yours need a defense. Example 3. He has a financial emergency. Again. You help. Again. He promises to repay it. Again. Then, when you bring it up, he acts wounded. I can't believe you are throwing that in my face. Now the unpaid money becomes your cruelty. Notice that. You were generous. He was irresponsible. But somehow you are the problem. Example 4. You separate. Suddenly the business is broke. The income is lower. The records are messy. The account that was fine before is now empty all of a sudden. He says, there is nothing there. Maybe this is true. Maybe it's not. But you have been kept far enough from the numbers that you cannot tell. That is why access matters before crisis. Example 5. You do not earn much money, or maybe you have been out of the workplace for a while. He tells you that you are lucky he pays for things. He makes you ask for basics. He questions groceries. He makes you feel guilty for needing gas, clothes, medication, or things for the kids. He says, you don't know how much I do for you. Now basic survival gets turned into a debt you are supposed to repay with silence. That was financial control too. Different income level, same cage. Hey, the body knows money control too. Your body often knows financial control before your mind has the language for it. Notice what happens when you ask about money. Do you brace? Did you rehearse? Did you feel guilty before you even spoke? Did you wait for the right mood? Did you avoid checking accounts because you don't want to cause a fight? Did you feel your stomach drop when a bill arrived? Did you feel nervous buying something small for yourself? Did you hide normal purchases to avoid commentary? Did you feel more peaceful when you handle things privately? That's information. Money should not feel like walking into a trap. A financial conversation in a healthy relationship may be uncomfortable. It may even be boring. It may require compromise, but it should not make you feel afraid or stupid or selfish or punished or trapped, right? The cost of being the generous one. Generosity is beautiful. I love generous women, women who help, women who give, women who build, women who say, I've got you. There is nothing wrong with that. But generosity without boundaries, that becomes a feeding tube for entitlement. And some women have been praised their entire lives for being low maintenance. Don't need too much. Don't ask too many questions. Be helpful. Be understanding. Be supportive. Be the cool wife. Be the strong one. Be the one who can handle it. And then one day she looks around and realizes, being easy has cost me my clarity. Being supportive cost me my savings. Being understanding cost me my standards. Being generous cost me my exit plan. That is the generosity tax, and it is way too high. The difference between support and financial self-abandonment. Let's be very clear here. Supporting a partner is not wrong. Helping through a hard season is not wrong. Sharing money in a committed relationship isn't wrong. Building together, that's not wrong either. But self-abandonment has a different smell to it. Support sounds like we are both honest. We both know the numbers. We both have access. We both make decisions together. We both take responsibility. We both repair mistakes. Self-abandonment sounds like, I don't want to upset him. I will just cover it. He will get mad if I ask. I am sure he had a reason. I should not need to know every detail. I make enough, so it is fine. It is easier if I don't bring it up. No, my friend. Easier is not always safer. And it's not easy in the long run anyways. We give up way too much, right? Sometimes easier is just a road to deeper dependence. The hard truth here. Here is the part that I'm not going to sugarcoat. If you are afraid to ask where your own money is going, that is a problem. If you are the one earning but still needing permission to spend, that is a problem. If you are not earning and basic needs are held above your head, that is a problem. If he gets access to your income, but you get attitude when you ask for transparency, that is a problem. If his mistakes become your debt, that is a problem too. If your generosity is expected, but his accountability is optional, that is a problem. If money conversations always end with you apologizing, that is also a problem. And if you have been calling this stress, marriage issues, or he's just bad with money, I need you to widen the lenses. Bad with money and financial controlling are not the same thing. A person who is bad with money can still be honest. A person who made a mistake can still show records. A person who wants repair can still sit down and make a plan. But someone who hides, blames, shames, explodes, dodges, drains, and makes you feel crazy for asking, that is not a budgeting issue. That is power, plain and simple. What to do this weekend? Now, I want you to make this practical, but I also want to be careful. If you are in a relationship where asking questions could put you in danger, do not announce a big financial awakening at the kitchen table tonight. Please don't do that. Safety first, strategy first, support first. The goal is not to create a bigger explosion. The goal is to get clear. So here are 3 steps. Step 1, create your private financial reality list. Not to obsess, to wake up. Write down what you know and what you don't know. Accounts, credit cards, loans, mortgage, your insurance, the taxes, business income, business debt, passwords, subscriptions, joint bills, assets, shared property, lines of credit. Who has access to that? Who makes decisions? Where statements go? There's no shame in not knowing. There is only power in beginning to know. Step 2, notice the emotional cost of asking. Write down what happens when money comes up. Did he deflect? Does he rage, mock you, accuse you? Does he drown you in details? Does he act wounded? Does he promise to show you later and never does? Does he make you feel dumb? That reaction is part of the data, not just the numbers, the pattern around the numbers. Step 3, get one independent set of eyes, not his friend or not the accountant who only talks to him, not someone who minimizes your gut. One safe, independent person. That might be a financial counselor, a lawyer, a domestic violence support worker, a trusted accountant, a trauma-informed therapist, a safe friend who is good with paperwork. You don't need to figure this all out alone, really. And please hear this. Do not move money, hide documents, or make legal decisions based on a podcast episode, okay? Get proper guidance, but do start waking up, because clarity is not betrayal. Clarity is protection. A simple script. If it is safe to ask directly, here is a simple sentence. I need full access to our financial information so I can understand my own life. Just notice what he says. Not, can I please, or not, am I sorry, not, I know you were busy, not a 20-minute explanation. No, just, I need full access to our financial information so I can understand my own life. A healthy partner may be uncomfortable, but they will understand the fairness of that. A controlling partner may treat that sentence like an attack. That tells you something. The whole again reframe. The goal is not to become suspicious of every person who offers help. That is not healing. That is hypervigilance in a blazer, right? The goal is to become clear enough to know the difference between support and control, clear enough to know where your money goes, clear enough to stop mistaking exhaustion for trust, clear enough to stop calling confusion peace, clear enough to stop paying the generosity tax with your future. Whole again means your compassion comes home with boundaries. Your generosity comes home with wisdom. Your earning power comes home with access. Your loyalty comes home with truth. Your nervous system comes home with enough safety to say, I need to see the numbers. I need to understand my option. I need to protect my future. I need to stop funding what is harming me. That is not selfish. That is adult. That is strong. That is the beginning of financial self-respect. In closing, if you have been searching for narcissistic financial abuse help, and if you've been earning money or you haven't been earning money, I want you to breathe this in. Your income does not mean you were free. Your success or lack of does not mean you were safe. Your generosity does not mean you owed him unlimited access. Your confusion does not mean you are bad with money. And your questions do not make you controlling, not one bit. You are allowed to know what is happening in your own financial life. You are allowed to ask where the money went. You are allowed to have access. You are allowed to protect your credit. And you are allowed to stop rescuing someone from consequences they kept creating. You are allowed to say, no more fog. This week, start with one thing, one account, one statement, one question, one password, one independent conversation, one piece of truth. You do not have to solve your whole financial life today. You just have to stop agreeing to be kept in the dark, because the generosity tax ends when clarity begins. And you, my friend, are allowed to come home to yourself financially too. You're not broken. You adapted. Now we rebuild.